Hey there YouTube, what's going on? Today's video is going to be about installing the TOR browser, and the TOR browser is what we are going to use in a later video to go exploring the dark web. The TOR browser gives us an excellent layer of anonymity, which is why it's great for using it to browse places such as the dark web. I feel before we do continue, I should mention a few things. As the dark web is a horrible, horrible place, I would never make sure, I would make sure that I never go onto any online payment sites or try and pay any bills whilst using the Tor browser. I'd never log into anything personal such as my email whilst on the Tor browser, and I would for sure not click on any links to any illicit items for sale. And lastly, I have made sure that I am on a VPN before connecting. And the other thing I've done is I've made sure that I'm on a virtual machine and not just running from my native machine. With that said, let's get cracking. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to navigate to torproject.org/download. We're going to choose which operating system we have. In our case, we're on Windows, so we'll click download. Once downloaded, you'll find it in your downloads folder. We're going to double click and we're going to hit OK for English. Something worth noting, this is where the Tor browser folder will get created, and in our case it will be on the desktop. So we'll just hit install. This takes a second. Right, now that we are installed, we're going to click finish. Once we hit that, the initial page should load. Okay, there we go. So if you are in countries like Egypt, China, or Turkey, it's quite likely that the browser will be censored. To get around that, you can use proxies, and you would hit this configure button to configure those proxies. In our case, we are not in a censored place as far as I know, and we will just hit connect. This will take a second. Right, and now that that's done, we should see the browser come up. Okay, welcome everyone. This is the Tor browser. First thing to note is that the search engine by default is DuckDuckGo. This is an anonymous search engine. It's kind of like Google, but not Google, whereas Google collects data. DuckDuckGo apparently does not. So that's a good thing. So that's what we're going to be using for our search. The next thing we want to do is we want to go into our options. And we just want to kind of make sure that everything is nice and secure. So under general, we're going to go down to files and applications and then downloads. And we want to make sure that always ask you where to save files is checked. Then we want to make sure that our browser is being automatically updated, which in my case it is. And it should be by default when you first install Tor. I must stress that it is very, very important to make sure that you keep your browser up to date, as that's how vulnerabilities are patched. And if you are running a version that's got a vulnerability, you are susceptible to being hacked. So you don't want that. So make sure you keep your browser up to date. Next, we're going to click on privacy and security. Just going to scroll down to history, and under Tor browser we want to make sure we click on never remember history, because we don't want our history remembered. Next, if you have given permission to any sites or any links so that they can access your camera, microphone, or your location, just click on settings and remove all these. You do not want this browser to have permission to your hardware, especially if you're going to be going to the dark web. The last security kind of thing that we want to look at is the security level. By default, it's standard. I would recommend for the first time we go in safest, and then kind of build our way as we get more comfortable and more familiar with the environment. And I think that about wraps it up for how to get the browser started and configuring it just to make it nice and secure so that we can go browsing. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you need any sort of advice or recommendation towards VPNs, again, leave a comment and we're happy to recommend something. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.